Now, when we discuss about the different committees which are required to be formed by the company, so under the Companies Act, we have the Audit Committee, the Nomination and the Remuneration Committee, the Stakeholder Relationship Committee, and the Corporate Social Responsibility Committee. In the LODR regulation, we have the requirement of the Audit Committee, NRC, Stakeholder Relationship Committee, and we also have a Risk Management Committee, which is not there in the Companies Act. Same way, the Corporate Social Responsibility, this is there in the Companies Act. I'm sure you all have covered Section 135, which deals with the corporate social responsibility. So here this committee is ensuring that the provisions of Section 135 are complied and where the money is to be deployed and what should be the sources and all the things we'll be discussing here. Now let's discuss quickly about the audit committee. So as I had mentioned that audit committee, this is one of the major pillar of the corporate governance in any company. Their major objective is to oversight the financial reporting of the company and also the internal financial controls, the internal controls over the company. They also ensure the risk management systems in the company are at the place and also for the enhanced disclosure. This is the main purpose of the audit committee there. As per section 177 of the Companies Act, all listed companies needs to constitute a audit committee. Thereafter, a public company which is not listed, so unlisted public company which has got a paid up capital of 10 crores or more, they need to constitute a audit committee. Or if the company is having a turnover of 100 crores or more, or if the company is having outstanding debts, deposits, loans, borrowings, etc., exceeding 50 crores, right? So this is 50 crores or more. So all this is 10 crore, 100 crore, 50 crores or more. Now, when we discuss about the LODR regulation, in terms of LODR regulation, we have Regulation 18, which mandates the company to incorporate or to constitute a audit committee. In that case, again, it is Regulation 18, Sub-Regulation 1. This mandates the company. Though the constitution of the audit committee is mandated both in the Companies Act as well as in the LODR regulation. However, slightly there is some difference between the LODR regulation and the Companies Act. So I'll quickly discuss what are the distinguish or what are the requirements under the Companies Act vis-a-vis what are the requirements under the LODR regulation. So as per the Companies Act, there should be a minimum of 3 directors in the audit committee. Here also the requirement is again of minimum 3 directors. You need minimum 3 directors in the audit committee. Companies Act states that the majority should be independent director. So in the last lecture, we discussed all about the independent directors. Here it says that majority should be the independent directors and the LODR regulation says 2/3 should be independent director. So this is one difference here. Thereafter, the Companies Act says that the majority of the members of the audit committee and including the chairperson should be the person who has the ability to read the financial statements, to read as well as understand the financial statement. However, as per the LODR requirements, all members. So just see here it says that the majority of the members, but LODR regulation says that all the members of the audit committee, they should be financially literate. Okay. And at least one person should have the expertise, should have the expertise. And there is an explanation which provides that how will you determine whether the person is financially or the person is having a financial management expertise. This is that either the person is a CEO or the person has been a CEO, right? Or if the person was a CFO or the person is CFO or any other senior position, right? Any other senior position where the person was responsible for the financial oversight of the company. That's where we say that the requirement is fulfilled here. Apart from that, the chairperson under the LODR regulation, it also says that the chairperson should be an independent director. The chairperson should be the independent director here, and the company secretary of the company will be the secretary to this audit committee. So this is what was there regarding the constitution of the audit committee and the broad requirements under the LODR regulation and in the Companies Act. With respect to the number of meetings, it is same. The audit committee must meet at least 4 times in a year with a gap not more than 120 days between the two meetings. Also, the quorum should be at least 2 members or 1/3 of the strength, whichever is higher, but there should be at least 2 independent directors who must be present when the meeting of audit committee is there. So let's say the audit committee has got 9 members. Let's presume there are 9 members in the audit committee. So as per LODR regulation for the listed company, 2/3 should be independent, correct? So 2/3 should be independent and maximum 1/3 can be non-independent. They can be the non-executive directors. Now 2/3 of 9 would be 6 and 1/3 would be 3. Now let's presume, as we said, the quorum is 2 or 1/3. So for the meeting of the audit committee, the quorum that is needed is 1/3 of 9, which is 3 directors. Now, the bifurcation of the 3 directors who were actually present in the meeting, one was independent director and the other 2 were non-independent directors. Now, can you say the quorum is met? Answer is no. So this sort of arrangement is not going to work. We'll need at least 2. So there are 2 requirements. One is at least 1/3 of the strength with 1/3 of the strength with at least 2 independent directors. They should be present in the meeting of the audit committee. Is this clear? The audit committee. Thereafter, we also have the nomination and the remuneration committee, often known as NRC. Now, when we discuss about the nomination and the remuneration committee, again, this is a new concept which has been introduced in the Companies Act 2013. This was not there in the 1956 Act. Now, which company is required to constitute a nomination and remuneration committee? That's again section 178. It mandates that every listed company needs to constitute a nomination and the remuneration committee. Thereafter, all public companies, again, we have the limits based on the paid up capital, then on the basis of turnover, and then on the basis of the borrowings. So when I write borrowings, I have written it in a very generic way, but otherwise borrowings would be aggregate of the outstanding loans or borrowings or debentures or deposit. We'll do the total of that. So paid up capital of 10 crores or more, turnover of 100 crores or more, and the borrowings of 50 crores or more. So if any of the three breaches and the company is a unlisted public company, they will have to appoint, or they will have to constitute the nomination and the remuneration committee. Under the LODR regulation, it is regulation 19 which mandates that a company needs to constitute a nomination and the remuneration committee. Again, if we draw the broad difference between the LODR regulation versus the Companies Act, though it's almost same, but still some differences are here. If you see, under the Companies Act, you require 3 or more non-executive directors. 3 or more non-executive directors, they will be the members of the NRC. Apart from that, there is another condition in this, that at least half of them should be independent directors. So this is the requirement of the Companies Act. However, in case of LODR regulation, it says that the committee should comprise of 3 directors, and all the directors should be non-executive. All of them should be the non-executive directors with at least 50%. So the language is different, but again, the purpose is again same. 50% of the directors should be independent directors. Apart from that, the chairperson of the company, the chairperson of the committee should be the independent director only. With respect to the quorum will be either 2 members, minimum 2 members, or it is going to be 1/3 of the total strength, whichever is higher. This is going to be the quorum for the nomination and the remuneration committee. They should meet at least once a year. The nomination and the remuneration committee once a year. So this is at least one meeting should happen in a year. Now, what is the objective of the nomination and the remuneration committee? So as the name suggests that this committee will be largely responsible for the remuneration of the directors, and the nomination would be, it will identify the criteria that who is qualified to become the director of the company. They are also going to do the performance evaluation of the board. They will also determine the qualifications and the other positive attributes which is needed to make a person as an independent director. They will also recommend policy. So again, some of the objectives of nomination and remuneration committee is to identify the person who is qualified to be the director. Thereafter, they are also going to do the evaluation of the board. Then again in the NRC committee, they will also determine the criteria for the independent director. Who can be the independent director, right? They will also determine the policy for the appointment and for setting the remuneration for the appointment of the directors. Also, the remuneration part they will be taking care of, that what should be the remuneration. So they will also determine the remuneration. Now just see, the remuneration would be again proposed, it will be suggested by the NRC committee, okay, and thereafter again it will go to the members of the company. They will also try to fix what should be the incentive for the directors here. So broadly, these are the provisions for the nomination and the remuneration committee. Thereafter, we'll have the stakeholder relationship committee. Now, when we discuss about this committee, again, the requirement is under section 178, subsection 5 of the Companies Act. And when we discuss about the LODR regulation, it is regulation 20, which says that the company needs to constitute a stakeholder relationship committee. Now, which company is needed under the Companies Act? So as far as the listed company is concerned, all listed companies needs to constitute a stakeholder relationship committee. However, the Companies Act mandates the constitution of the stakeholder relationship committee when the company has more than 1,000 investors. More than 1,000. Now, when I've used the word investors, however, in the act, the word is not investors. Why I've used the word investors? Because it says more than 1,000 shareholders, debenture holders, or the deposit holders, or the security holder, right? Or other security holder. So anywhere if you see, so together collectively, informally, we can say that they are the investors. So if the company has more than 1,000 investors, they will have to constitute a stakeholder relationship committee. As far as the listed company is concerned, a they'll have to constitute a stakeholder relationship committee. Now, the chairperson should be the non-executive director. This requirement is same. The chairperson should be the non-executive director of the stakeholder relationship committee, and they should meet at least once a year. And what will be the objective of the stakeholder relationship committee? They are going to resolve the grievances of the investor. And the grievances of the investors would be, again, non-receipt of the dividend or the non-receipt of the annual report, or again, it could be related to the transfer of shares also. So that's again a major area where the investors are always agitated. So the overall objective would be the stakeholder relationship committee here. Then we have another committee which is called as the Corporate Social Responsibility Committee. Now, under the Corporate Social Responsibility Committee, the CSR committee, this is required to be made under Section 135 of the Companies Act. Now, every company which fulfills the criteria that they'll have to do undertake the CSR activity, they will have to constitute the CSR committee here, right? And the criterias are, if the company, okay, now if the company is having a net worth of 500 crores or more, then in that case, the company needs to constitute a CSR committee. Or if the company is having a turnover of 1000 crores or more, then the company will require to constitute a CSR committee. And the third criteria is, if the company's net profit of the company is of rupees 5 crores or more, then in that case, the company needs to constitute a CSR committee. Now, everywhere with respect to the constitution of the committee, we have seen turnover, we have seen the borrowings, and we have also seen the paid up share capital. But here you have the net profits, turnover, and you have net worth here. So just understand, net worth is not same as your paid up share capital. Net worth is basically defined in clause in your section 2 of the Companies Act. It is basically your paid up share capital plus the free reserves which are available for dividend, plus the securities premium, minus if there is any accumulated losses, and minus if there is any miscellaneous expenditure which is not written off. These are basically the losses or huge expenses which are not written off right now. Let's say the company had incurred a heavy advertising expense, or let's say there was basically, these are just the losses, right? The losses which are not debited to the P&L account and they are still carried in the balance sheet of the company. Similarly, if there is any other fictitious asset, right? Fictitious asset means which is there on the asset side of the company's balance sheet, but that in actual is not an asset. Like, so all these things are there. So this will be debited. Now we have to see whether this is 500 crores or not. If this is 500 crores, then in that case, the company will have to constitute the CSR committee. Now you have to see for the immediately preceding financial year. Then in that case, the CSR committee would be constituted. Now in the CSR committee, there will be at least three directors, three or more directors. They will be the member of the CSR committee. Also, out of these three, at least one should be the independent director. At least one will be the independent director here. And then if the company, so let's say if the company is not required to appoint the independent director, in that case, so in some cases where the company is not required to appoint the independent director, then there can be any two directors, right? So they can be the part of the CSR committee. And let's say if it's a private company, the private company which has a net profit of 500 crores or more, or the turnover is 1000 crores or more, any of the criteria is getting fulfilled here. So in that case, the two directors of that private company, they can also be the member of the CSR committee, right? The functions of the CSR committee would be, again, as I said, to formulate the CSR policy of the company. So the objective would be to formulate the CSR policy. Also determine where the amount should be spent, right? So they will also recommend where the amount should be spent as per schedule 7, wherever whatever activities they have been given. And they will also monitor the CSR expenses. So this is there in the CSR committee. Thereafter we have the risk management committee. So risk management committee is to be constituted under regulation 21 of the LODR regulation, where it says that the risk management committee will constitute of all the board of directors. All the board of directors, they will be part of the risk management committee. And basically the objective will be to monitor and review the risk management plan. And which company is required to constitute a risk management company, a risk management committee? It is going to be the top 500 companies based on the market capitalization at the end of the previous year. So top 500 company by the market capitalization at the end of the preceding financial year, they will have to constitute the risk management committee. All the board of directors would be there, and their objective will be to review the risk management plan. This is going to be risk management plan. Now, risk management plan could be due to anything. Today, it can be due to the cyber security also. So, any such thing which is there, right? The risk management committee is going to oversee the activities there. Now, if you see, if all the board of directors are there, part of the risk management committee, why it has been, I mean, why there is a need to constitute a risk management committee? This could have been discussed in their individual board meeting also, but now they have made it mandatory sort of it. Once they have put it into the regulation, they've made it mandatory. So when you go through the annual report of any of the top listed company, you can pick up ITC there. So in that you'll find all the details about the committee. So just go to Google and download, or you can go to the website of these individual companies, and then you can see that all these committees and their constitutions, everything will be mentioned there. So that is again a one good source of learning as far as the practical side of the provisions are concerned. So when we read that annual report, often we ignore that, but when we read that annual report, we get to know a lot of the information, which will be again helpful for understanding how these committees work, what are their objectives. So whatever we have discussed till now, how they review the risk management plan. So they discuss it there. They have mentioned it into the board report. Then again, in the annual report, they'll mention how the CSR policy is formulated and all those things. Even for the nomination and the remuneration committee, the information is given there. So just pick up any of the annual report of the company. That will be again helpful for you all. So these were the different types of committees which were mentioned in the Companies Act and in the LODR regulation, what a company actually needs to constitute here.